Welcome to MalcolmPresents.com, featuring Pat Alesia, Commander of the American Legion, Nassau County. Pat, take over.
Okay. Good evening, Malcolm. And we are honored this evening to have a special guest. His name is Roby Johnson, and he's my counterpart in Suffolk County. He is the American Legion Commander in Suffolk County. He's a fellow Vietnam veteran. He joined the American Legion in 2011. He's a member of the Rusi Bone Post number 411 in Islip. And he received the American Legion, the Suffolk County Legionnaire of the Year Award, as well as the 10th District Legionnaire of the Year Award in 2018, 2019, for basically doing outstanding activities for his post, as well as for helping veterans throughout his community. He also had an outstanding career as a law enforcement officer with the Rockville Center Police Department. So I introduce to you, Roby Johnson. Welcome aboard, Roby.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate being here.
Okay. What we'd like to do is just start off, Roby, by asking you to briefly summarize some of your military experiences.
Well, everybody like you as well, we all went through basic training of some form. Mm-hmm. And after I went through basic training at Fort Gordon, Georgia, which was 12 weeks long, I got 2 weeks off leave, and then I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey for advanced infantry training. I was there for 12 weeks. And then I stayed there probably another month and a half, and I was assigned to funeral details for the young men coming back from Vietnam who didn't make it. We had that was probably the roughest assignment I had, and that includes being in Vietnam. That's a rough thing to do. You're dealing with the families who just lost a loved one. Some of them were very understanding, very kind. Some of them took it out on the guys in the funeral detail, and I totally understand that. And you had to have that understanding in order to do the job. You couldn't get mad at somebody who just lost a son or a husband or a father. So you did what you had to do, and that's exactly what I did. And after that, I got sent down to Fort Benning, Georgia, and I went to the 199th Light Infantry Brigade, and we were going to Vietnam. We trained for about 5 months before we ever left Vietnam. So we weren't strangers. We knew each other. You knew who you could trust, who had your back, and who you were going to be a little bit wary of.
And what year was this?
I'm sorry?
What year?
1966. I was there at Fort Benning from, I believe it was right around July of 66 until December of 66. And in December of 66, the 199th was assigned to Vietnam.
So you were in the heart of the battle. That's when
Yeah, I was in the Mekong Delta for my 11 and a half months in Vietnam.
Wow.
So, I mean, there were a lot of things that came out that they said, well, the big thing with the papers were we were baby killers, we were alcoholics, we were drug addicts, we were everything but soldiers. And I can tell you, and I'll tell Pat, I didn't experience that with the 199th. And the reason I believe we didn't experience it, we all trained together. We knew each other. We knew families. We knew mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, the whole bit. And so we knew what to expect and how to treat each other. We never had a problem. Not in the 11 and a half months I was there anyway.
Did you see the movie?
Go ahead.
Did you see the movie Good Morning Vietnam?
Yes, I did. And that was probably closer to anything else that I've seen as far as movies about Vietnam were concerned. And the guy who Robin Williams played, that was real. He was legit. He had been a DJ in Vietnam, and he was replaced by Pat Sajak.
Well, as we spoke before with Pat talking about war, I don't see how any of you guys could survive seeing what you've seen. You know, if you're in battle and you see people killed, and you having to do killing also,
Yeah.
I don't see how you can, keep your sanity when you come home.
The biggest thing for me was we had a medic in my outfit. His last name was Johnson, no relation. But when we went
Okay.
out on patrol or we went out on an ambush, when we came back, he would go up to you and say, "Come on, let's talk. You have to talk to me. How did you feel? What did you do? What did you think?" And he wouldn't let you say, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm okay," and start to walk away. He wouldn't allow you to do that. He made you talk about what transpired.
Well,
And that way, Okay.
Roby, I was going to say that's outstanding because
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't hear too much about that.
he was 50 years ahead of his time. Easy. He just would not allow you to walk away and
Yeah.
say, "I'm okay." And it's funny. I actually wound up going on R&R with him to Taipei, Taiwan.
Okay.
Now, what you're saying reminds me a little of the movie, and I'm forgetting the name of the movie, about the Korean War with Alan Alda.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Mesh.
Nash, because that's what the doctors did. They sort of had to talk to each other,
Yeah,
talking about
sure.
the horrors that they saw.
Exactly.
If you're going to talk to a veteran, combat vets will talk to combat vets because they've got something in common.
Mm.
They know what it's like to be on the front line. Well, there were no front lines in Vietnam. That's a fallacy. You never knew where you were going to be. There was no front line. And in the Mekong Delta, all you had was rice paddies and canals and obviously the Mekong River. So there were no real lines for you to go to. We weren't going from point A to point B to point C. That just didn't exist.
Yeah.
We had no real objective other than to get home.
Survival.
Survival of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest. You got it, Pat. That's exactly what it was.
How did you feel when you were getting this bad, press from the U.S. and people were against you?
We really didn't know that much about it while I was there. It wasn't something that we didn't get radio programs other than, Armed Forces radio.
Yeah,
the papers we got were, well, we didn't get the Army Times. What the heck?
No, it was the Stars and Stripes. I think we were
Stars and
they
Stripes.
distributed,
That's
right? Yeah.
But
You didn't know too much about what was going
no,
on.
because it really wasn't. What was going on at home was not really relayed to us.
Correct. Exactly.
As I say, thank God.
Yes.
When I came home from Nam, and I went to Fort Dix, they kept me there for about 10 days. I had jungle rot, so they had to clear that up. It's a fungus. They had to clear that up before they let me leave Fort Dix. And when they did let me leave, we had to go home in Class A uniform. You couldn't go home in civilian clothes. You couldn't wear fatigues. You wore a Class A dress uniform going home. And when I got down to Penn Station, there was a young, I'm saying young, I was 21. This kid might have been 17. And he came up and he started cursing at me and screaming at me, calling me names, all kinds of nonsense. And then he spit in my face.
Mm.
And I don't think he'll ever spit in anybody's face again. He paid for it. And that was more disturbing than anything I had come up with in Vietnam. We saw a lot of stuff that was gruesome, but to come home and be treated like that when all you were doing was,
Your job.
We're doing our job and we're doing it for the country. My father was 23 years in the Navy. He was World War II and Korea. And so when it came time to go into the service, I didn't even bat an eye. I've been doing that pretty much my whole life, being in a military background.
So you were a volunteer?
No, I was drafted. And I allowed myself to be drafted because I didn't want to do 4 years. So when it came up, my father was mad at me because I didn't go in the Navy. When I got my draft notice in October of 1965, he said, "Come on, we're going down to the recruiter's office. You're joining the Navy." And I said, "No, I'm not." That's the first time I ever said no to my father.
Any particular reason you chose the Army over the Navy?
It was 2 years. The Navy was a 4-year program. Air Force was 4 years. Marine Corps was 3. And I chose to be drafted. I knew I would do 2 years. My father said, "You're going to go to Vietnam." And I said, "No, I don't know that. I know there's a good chance I'll go to Vietnam, but I don't know for sure that I'm going to be there."
Mm-hmm.
But my father joined the Navy in 1938. He had my grandfather sign him in. He was 17 years old, and he knew what was going on in Europe, knew all about Hitler and everything, but he wanted to join, and that was it. He did. He chose his path, and I chose mine.
Did you ever regret that?
No, not for a minute. I have people ask me, would I go back to Vietnam? My answer is, if I could go back with the same people that I was there with to begin with, in a heartbeat, I would go back.
Mhm.
But the way things are going today, I don't know whether I would or not. The soldiers are treated well.
We lost you.
You got a freeze on, Roby.
Well, actually, Roby, I lost on my screen.
Be careful.
Oh, here we go.
You're back.
Okay, you're back.
Oh, I was out?
You were out.
Yeah. For,
Okay. Yeah, it says here my internet connection is unstable. Well,
Right.
they must be talking about me, not the connection.
Would you,
no,
would
that's
you go
not
back?
true.
I have a lot of friends that have gone back as civilians,
Mm-hmm.
and they seem to have liked the country and the people.
Yeah, the people were not bad. I mean, a lot of people don't realize. Well, maybe if anybody saw the movie The Green Berets, and
Yeah.
they saw the little girl that was befriended by John Wayne's troops, and she and her family were killed. Well, that happened. It happened down in the Delta where I was. We had I guess the boy was maybe 4 or 5 years old. He had on, you guys, maybe you're young enough to remember Smokey the Bear and the campaign hat he used to wear.
Yes,
Well,
yes, we
kids
remember.
somehow or other got hold of the campaign hat. So we just called him Smokey. And he was always at our bunker. If we got care packages from home or wherever, we always gave him something to take back. And we went out on an ambush one night. When we came back the next morning, we found out that the little boy and his family were killed. By the V. So a lot of people don't realize, they think that, well, that was just a storyline in the movie Green Berets. It's a fact. It happened. And it's just something you don't really get used to. I mean, I've lived with it for 56 years, pretty much. And the same thing, if you wind up in action and you wind up having confirmed kills or whatever you want to call it, it stays with you. You don't forget it. You take somebody's life, it stays there. Till I'm gone.
Did you have any hand-to-hand combat where you were eyeball
Yes, I
to
did.
eyeball?
Eyeball to eyeball, I did. And I didn't remember it until I was at a reunion. It was our 25th reunion coming back from Nam. And my squad, there were 4 of them left from my alpha. I was alpha team leader. From my team, there were 4 guys left. And we got to talking, and we talked about an ambush that we ambushed the VC who had ambushed one of our patrols. So now the
Okay.
VC are caught in the middle. It's a crossfire. And they're like us. We're trained to charge an ambush. You don't go the other way. You go towards the gunfire. That's what we were trained to do. And when they came out of the tree line by the canal, there's a guy shooting. I carried an M79 grenade launcher. You're only getting 1 round out of that at a time. But I fired 2 rounds, I think, and this guy comes running at me. He's pulling the trigger, but nothing's happening. And when he got to me, I pushed his rifle aside, and I had a buck knife with about an 8-inch blade on it, and I didn't even think about it. I took it out and I stabbed him. That's hand to hand. You don't get any closer than that.
Get any closer than that? Jeez,
I
wow.
I did not remember it at all till these guys brought it up while we were at the reunion.
Wow.
My wife was there and she's looking at me. It was just one of those things. You don't think about it, you react. It's what you're trained to do. If you have to stand there and think about it, you're going to
Be dead. Yeah.
It's all like muscle memory.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You just don't, it's just automatic. You do it because you were trained to do it. And like I said, I don't regret anything I've done over in Vietnam. I'm not ashamed of anything that I did over there. My goal, because we weren't there really to win the war, my goal was to get home. And I think I can say that about most of the guys who served in Vietnam. The goal was to come home.
Yeah, well, I don't know what, in today's world, I don't know what winning a war is.
Mm.
I don't know
We
what,
haven't won a war since World War II.
yeah, because I don't know what winning the war in Vietnam would be.
We
Surviving,
could
coming
have won the
home.
war. We should have won the war in Vietnam, but during that time, let's face it, wartime economy is great for the country because you've got everybody making money. All of your motor vehicle companies, they're manufacturing cars, trucks, whatever, tanks, firearms. Our firearms industry is going great, guns and the
The
ammunition,
guns, very
the
good.
uniforms that you wear, clothing manufacturers, the guys who put together the C rations, because we didn't have MREs back then. We were still getting C rats from World War II and Korea.
Yeah.
But there was so much money being made that they didn't want the war to end. Ho Chi Minh was ready to call a truce and do pretty much what they did in Korea. We'll keep the North, you keep the South, and everybody will be happy. But it didn't go that way because of the political system of the time. And and I'm not the only one, the only Vietnam vet you'll hear say that. It's true. I mean, it's just the way it was.
And I'm just going to add that after the Tet in 1968,
Yes.
I think we were actually winning the war.
Yes.
But then politics got involved, and that was the end of it for us.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Go ahead, Pat.
I was going to say, maybe we want to just now segue to what motivated you to join the American Legion, and when did you join the American Legion? And I know you got a little story there.
My wife motivated me to join the American.
Okay.
She wanted to get you out of the house.
That may be. I had attempted to join the American Legion when I came home from Vietnam. And I went to the American Legion Hall where I lived. And I brought my DD-214 with me. And this was January of 1968. And the front door to the place was open. I walked inside. And there's two older gentlemen, and I use the term lightly, was sitting at the bar. And the bar was right there on the ground floor level. And I walked in and they, what do you want? Whoa, wait a minute. That's a heck of a way to greet a potential member of your post. And I said, well, I want to join. He said, what branch of the service you were in? He's really gruff. And I said, I was in the Army. Where'd you serve? And he said, I said, oh, I served in Vietnam. He said, you can have a drink and you can leave. That was his comment. And I said, pour the drink and I'll put it where you don't want it.
Mm.
And so I walked out. And then 44 years later, I joined the American Legion. We got they were looking for donations in the mail. And so we sent them a check, and there was an application in there. So my wife said, why don't you fill this thing out? It's a long time ago so I did. And they cashed the check for the donation, but I never heard anything from the post. And so it was Memorial Day in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And the parade was all over and done with, but they're doing their speeches in front of Islip Town Hall. And I said to my wife, when we get home, I'm coming back over here. I'm going to the post. I want to find out what the heck is going on. This was 3 months after I sent them the money and the application. I hadn't heard anything.
Mm.
So I went there and I go into the doors open. I walk in, and one of the guys that I know from a golf course that I used to play at, he's there, and he's making hot dogs and stuff for everybody after the ceremonies are over. And he said, what are you doing here? I said, I was going to ask you the same thing. And I told him what happened. He said, oh, wow, I can't believe that. I said, well, I'm telling you it happened. Whether you believe it or not, that's up to you. But long story short, the first vice commander comes in, and he was the one in charge of membership. So I asked him about it, and he said, no, that didn't happen. I said, I got a canceled check at home. Don't tell me it didn't happen. You cashed the money, but I didn't hear anything about that. So we're going back and forth. And then we had a female commander. Her name was Melody Thomas. She was in the Army. She got out as a full bird colonel.
Okay.
And I say full bird. I asked her if she was a chicken colonel, but she didn't like that. But you know what I'm talking about,
I
Pat.
hear you. I hear
And you
you.
were never a chicken colonel. You
Yeah,
were always
yeah.
a bird. All right. But anyway, I told her what happened, and she said, listen, I don't know what the mix up was, but next week we have a meeting. Come down to the meeting and we'll sign you up. And so I did. And the first meeting I attended, she came over to me after the meeting and she said, listen, we have two positions available, judge advocate or Homeland Security. And she said, I think you'd be good for Homeland Security because you were a police officer for 28 years.
Is
So,
that what you did after the Army?
yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much. Well, I had other jobs before I became a police officer. I worked at the United Nations for 5 years, from 1972 to 1977, in the security and safety program. So I had somewhat of a law enforcement background with that. But then I had other jobs. Well, when I first came home, I worked for Grumman. I put fire detection systems in the F-111 bomber. So I was a fighter bomber. But
Where were you a policeman?
Rockville Center, New York. It's a department. When I came on, had 60 police officers. There were about maybe 18 to 20,000 residents at the time, and Rockville Center was one of the older police departments on Long Island. It was put together long before Nassau County had a department. Rockville Center was formed in 1893, I believe.
Interesting.
And Malcolm, Rockville Center is 2 towns east of Valley Stream.
Yeah, I
To
think
give
I
you a
used.
little perspective.
I'm from Brooklyn. I think I used to go to a place called Jan's, which is
Yes, it was right on Sunrise Highway.
Right. I used to take the Bell Parkway, Sunrise Highway, go straight.
You
And
got
that
it.
That was the only Jan's, and they had the kitchen sink.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
well, they don't.
About-
I don't know if they still have the kitchen sink or not. I'm not even sure they're still there.
I don't
But
think they're there anymore.
They
No.
had changed ownership and changed the name of the ice cream parlor for lack of better.
We used to go with about 10 guys and have ice cream fights.
Okay.
But anyway, getting back to the series. So now you join the Legion. Now
I joined. Yeah, that was in June of 2011,
2011.
and I have held an office. I was Homeland Security and Civil Preparedness. I was the adjutant. I was first vice commander. I was commander of the post. Then we have divisions in Suffolk County. We have 5 divisions. I was second division commander for almost 3 years, and then I became county commander. And I'm only doing 1 term. I hope the guys are listening. I'm only doing 1 term.
Yeah, but Roby, remember what happened just 2 years ago?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so I agree with you. I want to do 1 term, but let's hope we can do that.
Yeah,
So Roby, if we have you back next year, you'll be a retired commander.
Absolutely.
He'll be
And
a
I'll be
junior-
loving it.
He'll be a junior past county
I'll be
commander,
junior past county commander.
and I will be
don't
the
call me
same.
junior.
Now, what we've been trying to do with Pat is to
Yeah.
get younger people to join.
Yeah.
What would be
Yes.
your pitch to get the younger vets to come aboard?
Well, we try to do an open house, get them in there to see what we're doing besides, when I came on, guys were telling me, oh, listen, all they do, they're old men sitting around a bar, drinking and telling lies, war stories and lies and what have you.
Which ain't bad.
Which ain't bad.
Ain't bad.
But we do a hell of a lot more than that. I know I've got guys in the post I belong to, because I'm not commander there anymore. But we go to schools, we talk to the kids, we run different programs to try and get young vets coming in. It's very difficult now because all of these guys have done multiple tours in either Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever. And when they come home, if they don't have a job waiting for them, they've got to find a job. If they're married, they got to take care of their family. There's so many things that go on that we don't really get a chance to grab the guys as they're coming home and say, hey, listen, how about joining the American Legion? This is what we do. And I'm on the Town of Islip Veterans Advisory Board. One of the things that we did there was a young man, his name was Bernardino Genchi. He was killed in Vietnam. He was a helicopter pilot, was killed in 1969. But when he was a high school student at Islip High, they were just putting up the new train station in Islip. And the railroad didn't have they were doing a locomotive for a weather vane. They didn't have it completed. He made one in wood shop, and it was a 3D, and he took it down there. He was there the day they opened the station. They let him go up on top of the station, on top where the cupola is, and put up the weather vane with the locomotive. And it was up there for probably 4 or 5 years before a storm came along and blew it down. Now it's in the town of, it's in the Riverhead Railroad Museum, Long Island Railroad Museum in Riverhead. And he did all of that by hand. And then we got a request from a retired railroad worker to put a new weather vane up and rededicate it to Dino Genchi, which we did. And it's something we didn't expect a big crowd there, and maybe it's not a big crowd, but we had somewhere between 60 and 70 people at the train station. And this is the middle of the afternoon, and it's on a Monday. So we got a pretty decent crowd. We had veterans there. We had school chiefs. We had invited the people from Islip High School, the shop teachers, the principal, the superintendent, all of that stuff. We had them all there. We had Long Island Railroad was there, and they did tremendous amount of coverage for us. And the town of Islip's media relations people, they covered it. So these are things that we do that people don't hear about. You know, we get involved.
What would the benefit be for a young guy coming out of the Army? You know, okay, I could see involving in the community, but what would it do? What would it do to his head? I mean, from what I could see, as you said, you know, a combat soldier only talks to another combat soldier of what happened. It's hard for them to open up to, let's say, civilians.
Yeah, well, yeah, for me, because of the medic that worked with us, I can talk to anybody, and I don't sugarcoat it. I will answer any question that's asked honestly. All right, that's what you don't want to be lying to people, because they're going to find out you're lying. So just tell the truth, you know. Or if you don't want to talk about it, just be honest with them. Say, I'm sorry, I can't talk about that. There are some people just can't, no matter what. But I've spoken to a number of vets from different eras that were combat, and they like sitting down and talking to somebody that has a similar background, has gone through what they've gone through.
Yeah.
And so, but we do all kinds of stuff. We go Flag Day. We go to the elementary schools on Flag Day. We talk to the kids about the flags, what it means. And we also let them ask us any questions that they want. Now, the school may put limitations on it, but I don't. So, but
you know, Roby, just to add to that, I went into a local school here in Woodmere with Sid Mandelbaum, who is the post commander of the Lawrence Seahurst post.
Right.
And we sat through 3 assemblies,
Right.
2nd grade, 3rd grade, and 5th grade. And when the fifth graders came in, they actually did the POW MIA ceremony, which was very impressive. And it's nice to know at that age level, they're already, you know, aware of certain thing that's going on.
Sure. Absolutely. That's phenomenal. That's wonderful.
Yes.
I mean, with the kids that we deal with, the elementary school kids, they will ask you questions. You get into the high schools and it's like, why am I sitting in this room?
Yeah, I know.
They don't have the enthusiasm that the younger kids have. And that's who you've got to reach first. You got to reach them. Otherwise, we're not going to have any history about the wars that we've fought, the soldiers that we've had, and the good that they've done. It's just, unfortunately, it's the way it is.
Well, again, you have to do the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I'm sure there's a lot of.
Oh yeah, there is. There's stuff there that you know. I've seen things that like I said, I lived through it and I can handle it, but there were things that I would not have done that other guys did. But I'm not going to pick on somebody over there.
Sure.
They're trying to do the same thing I was trying to do, get home. So, well, the problem is, from what I see it, and from my vantage, it's not what you guys did. It's what the commanders did and what they told you to do.
Well,
It's
I
a lot of things that
understand
you did, you had no control over.
absolutely. But again, that's part of being a soldier. You
Yeah.
obey, unless it's blatantly 100% wrong, you obey the order.
And that's kind of hard to judge, that you can judge that with hindsight, but it's kind of, when you're in the trenches, it's, as you say, you have to follow orders.
Right. At the moment, you're not thinking about right, wrong, or indifferent. You're thinking about getting the job done.
Is this morally correct?
Yeah. Well,
That's you're 100% right, Pat.
yeah.
And you were a commander, so you would know.
Well, in Vietnam, I was an advisor, not a commander.
You've always been a commander.
In Vietnam, I was an observer.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. But the guys that I knew and they were all, as I said, guys who I served with stateside before we went over. We trained together. So it was easier for us. Even the officers that we had, they were all part of that unit when we trained together.
Yeah.
And some officers were better than others. And that's unfortunately, that's the way it goes. It's like your troops. Some of your grunts, ground pounders, whatever you want to call them, were better than others. We had good NCOs and we had bad NCOs. And you're going to have that in any walk of life. You're always going to have somebody that's really good and somebody not so good.
Do you still keep in touch with a lot of the guys that you were in the units with, or?
I do. As a matter of fact, we have our 56th reunion coming up in May. I'll be in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania with my wife.
Very
And
nice.
we're going to be there from May 30th until June 3rd. And I got to be back on June 3rd because on June 4th, we have our county convention. And that's when I get down as commander.
You don't want to miss that, right?
No, I don't want anybody sneaking me in through the back door.
That's cute.
From what I hear about the American Legion, you might be there for quite a while.
I'm not going to get out of the Legion, but I'm just not going to be commander.
Right.
I'll go back to I'm still at my post, obviously.
Sure.
And I'll probably do something else within the post. So, and I'm going to try and stay on the Town of Islip Veterans Advisory Board, because this is where we go to work, not just for veterans, but for the town, for the community. We will do things to help them understand veterans better. And every veterans group is different. The guys who came home from World War I, they were a whole different thing. That was the greatest. Then you had World War II. All of this stuff that went on, excuse me, every war's had their, has had people who fought there that were truly, truly heroes that did everything they could, not for themselves, but for the guys with them. And you had other guys that, hey, listen, all I want to do is get by, and that's fine. You get by, but just don't get me hurt in the process of you not.
Process. Yeah.
But sometimes even to get by, you have to, help your fellow, because everybody has each other's back, so to speak.
That's the way it should be, and for most of us, I think it was.
Anyway, guys, I hate to say it, our time is up.
Oh, okay.
Our half hour is up. As I say, what I started the show with, Pat, is to extend the word to the people, or to the vets, about the American Legion, what it does, and why they should join. So, as I say, we get by the social media. So, tell everybody to go to malcolmpresents.com, and it's called Commander Pat Alesia.
Okay.
And you can see,
certainly.
And then you can see all the shows.
Okay.
We have done.
Outstanding. So thank you, gentlemen, for having me on.
No, thank you, Roby, for doing such a great job. We really appreciate it. And I truly mean, you are a star. And
And as I say, it's becoming trite. Thank you for your service and your.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Okay. And I'll, everybody have a good weekend, and I'll give you a call next week, Malcolm.
You got it, Pat. Ciao.
Okay.
I'm on my way to the county meeting.
Oh, okay. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Let's tell all the guys in the county to watch your show.
I certainly will.
Good.
You take care, gentlemen. Stay safe.
Okay.
Bye.
Safe day. Bye now.